Welcome to the online class of Social Studies. In your book, My Big Book of Social Studies, kindly open page number 27, chapter number 4, Evolution of Transport. Early humans traveled from one place to another on foot. Traveling long distance with heavy loads was not only difficult but also time consuming. It is believed that the early humans saw some logs floating in water. Over time, they realized that hollow trunk of trees can float in water easily. This gave early humans the idea of using them for traveling by water. Thus, the first boat was made. Later, early humans learned to tie a number of straight logs together to make a raft. So, in the previous chapter also we have read that the early humans were nomads and they used to walk from one place to another on foot in search of food and shelter. Then after that, after some time, they noticed that hollow trunk of trees can float easily in water, and they started using those kind of trunks as boat. And then after gradually, they started tying straight logs together and made a raft. Raft is a kind of boat, and many logs are tied together for making a flat surface, and that those logs can be easily floated off on water. However, it was the invention of wheel which marked a turning point in the history of transport. And in the history of transport, wheel was the major discovery which made a turning point in all the activities of transportation. Over time, a series of inventions and discoveries transformed the way human traveled. The wheel. In the beginning, early humans used carts to carry loads. However, these carts had no wheels. They pushed and pulled the carts themselves. And then in the beginning, the early humans were using cart, a box type of structure, for carrying loads from one place to another, and those carts were not having wheel in the initial period. Later, they used animal to do this, and after some time, they had started taking the help of the animals for pulling and pushing the cart. But it was difficult to move the cart on uneven surface. With time, they discovered that heavy round objects roll easily. This led early humans to make wooden rollers from fallen trees. The carts were placed on the wooden rollers, which made pulling the load easier. Gradually, wooden rollers made the way for one of the greatest inventions in the human history, the wheel. So, after some time, they came to know that if they keep the load on a wooden roller. In this picture, you can see this is a piece of log which was being used as a wooden roller, and on these kinds of log, they used to keep the load and move the log from one place to another, which made their work a little bit easier. Then after some time, this wooden roller gave invention to the wheel. The wheel was invented for about 5,500 years ago. However, its earliest use was not for transportation. It was used as potter's wheel to make pots. But then the wheel was invented for about 5,500 years ago, but that wheel was not used as for the purpose of transportation or for the purpose of traveling, but those wheels were being used by the potters. Here in this picture you can see this is a wheel which is being used by a potter for making a pot. The wheel was used for transport only after the invention of axle. An axle is a rod that connects a pair of wheel, and wheel came into existence for the purpose of transportation when axle was invented. What is an axle? In this picture we can see there is a rod. This is a rod between two wheels. This is called the axle. and this axle connects a pair, means two wheels together, so that they can move coordinately. This picture shows the evolution of wheel. This is displayed in a Greece museum. Earlier, stone wheels were being used. Then later, sometime wooden wheel came into existence, and then wheels with spokes, and then rubber wheel came into existence, and these kinds of wheels we are currently using. Now, with the invention of wheel, goods could be exchanged between far-flung places. Far-flung places means at distance places or far away places. This led to the discovery of new and far away lands. This also created opportunities for trade and commerce. As transportation improved, trade began to flourish. Flourish means to develop or to get improved. So, when wheel got invented, there were many changes in the system of transportation, and this gave new ideas for trade as well as commerce. As there were fewer roads at that time, carts could not always be used, so there was not many roads built at that particular time. So it was not easy for the people to carry their carts everywhere. This led travelers and explorers to have a sea route, and because of this reason they started taking the sea routes. The earliest ship used manual power, that is, the rowers used oars to propel the ship. In the beginning, the ships were using manual powers, means that the people were rowing the boats. They used oars. Oars are a rod with a flat blade at the end, which we call chappu in Hindi, to propel the ship, for moving the ship. Much later, sailing ship used, and after some time, sailing ship came into the existence. Sailing ships were having sails. A piece of cloth, by big pieces of cloths were tied on a pole, and with the help of wind or wind pressure, there was movement of the boat. Sails enabled the ship to use speed of the wind to move forward. As land and sea route improved, people traveled to distant places for trade. The Silk Road was an important trade route. It connects in China with Italy and Europe. The road was named after the famous silk that was traded along the road. Marco Polo, an Italian merchant, traveled through this route. Now coming to the next topic, some explorers. During the mid-15th and mid-16th century, many European explorers set out to find sea routes to distant land. The idea of making huge profit often led the rulers to pay for the voyage. Voyage means it is a long journey which is done by sea routes. By this time, shipbuilding has improved. The ship had adjustable sails. By adjusting the sail to the direction of the wind, the sailor could move their ship faster. And by now, the ships were having adjustable sails. Earlier, there was only single sail. Now, they were having many sails attached in the boat or the ship, so that they can manage with the wind speed, and they can move their ship accordingly in that direction. In this picture, you can see this is a adjustable sail ship that was being used by the sailors. Bartholomew Diaz. In 1488, a Portuguese explorer called Bartholomew Diaz reached the southern tip of Africa. He could not go further as the sea was very rough. So he named the place Cape of Storm. Later, it was named the Cape of Good Hope because it offered explorer the hope of going or reaching the east. So this explorer, a Portuguese explorer, reached the southern tip of Africa, and as he was not able to reach to the east side, so he named that place as Cape of Storms. And then after some time, it was that place was also named as Cape of Good Hope, because it made the hope for the other explorer to reach to the east. Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer, set out a voyage to find out sea route from Europe to Asia. Now, Christopher Columbus, he set a voyage for finding a sea route between Europe and Asia. However, instead of sailing eastwards, he sailed westward. So he sailed in totally opposite direction. He was about to sail in east direction, but he sailed in west direction and reached Bahamas. Later, it was proved that he had discovered a new continent, and it was called the New World. Vasco da Gama. In 1498, Vasco da Gama became the first European to reach India. He was the first European to reach India by sea. His discovery of the sea route to India marked the beginning of European traveling to east to build their trade networks. And after he reached India, the Europeans started to travel India for doing their trade with India with that sea route. Then next is Ferdinand Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese explorer, he was also a Portuguese explorer, wanted to find a sea route to the East Indies or Southeast Asia, to know as it is known today. Between 1519 and 1521, he sailed around the world. He discovered a passage between the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. So, who discovered a passage between Atlantic and Pacific Ocean? Ferdinand Magellan. And this passage was named as Strait of Magellan. During this time, it was popularly believed that the earth was flat. Earlier, it was believed that earth was flat. Magellan voyage around the world proved that the earth was in fact round. And when Ferdinand Magellan set his voyage to find the way to East Indies, he proved that the world is round but not flat. The discovery of sea route helped to expand trade and commerce. The Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, French, and the British came to India as traders. Soon they started to acquire territories. India became a colony of British. Colony means an area that is controlled by a nation which is usually far from it. So, Britishers, Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, these started coming to India, started settling here, and started controlling the trade from India, and later on Britishers captured India totally. In this map we can see the purple line. This is showing the voyage of Christopher Columbus in the year between 1492 and 93. That is this, from North America to Europe. And then this pink dotted line, this shows the voyage of Vasco da Gama. And then the green one, this shows the voyage of Ferdinand Magellan, the one who proved that the earth was round. So we can see here, he traveled the whole world. This green line, this is showing he started from here, and then we can see in whole map he traveled from one end to the another. Advancement in science and technology. Let us read about some inventions and discoveries that brought about further changes in transportation. Now we are going to read about the further changes that were made in the history of transportation and that improved the transportation and improved the trade and as well as commerce also. The first one is the steam engine. After the wheel, the invention of the steam engine was the second greatest event in the history of transportation. The steam engine, which was invented in the 17th century, was improved upon by James Watt in the 18th century. The first steam engine was built in the 17th century and later by James Watt it was redeveloped in the 18th century. The Watt steam engine was more efficient and became to be widely used to power machine in the industries. And this engine was used in the industries to power the machines, heavy machines that were installed in the industries. It also paved the way for using steam engine in transportation. The first steam locomotive means an engine that pulls a train, was built in the 19th century. Later, George Stephenson built one of the most successful early steam locomotive that was used to power the first train. Train linked towns and cities. As rail travels were cheap, people could afford to travel by train. So the first steam locomotive was built by George Stephenson and these trains were cheaper to travel from one place to another. The first steam powered boat was invented by Robert Fulton in the 19th century. Steamboats revolutionized travel throughout Europe and enabled goods to be transported much faster. Discovery of petroleum. Another discovery is the discovery of the petroleum. This also enhanced the transportation system. In the 19th century witnessed the discovery of crude oil or petroleum. This use of petrol and diesel powered engines made it possible for a wide range of vehicles such as cars, buses, trucks, bikes to be manufactured. Across the world, these vehicles made traveling easier and faster than ever before. Now also, in these days also, we are using vehicles which are powered by the petroleum, that is our petrol and diesels. So, the invention of petroleum made the transportation system more cheaper as well as faster. This is a flyer that was invented by the Wright brothers. It is a air transport, and later on, after the discovery of petroleum, air transport also came into the existence. In 1903, the Wright brothers Oliver and Wilbur conducted first successful short-distance aeroplane flight. The aircraft had a petrol engine, and it was possible only because of the discovery of petroleum, because the engine in it was a petrol engine. By the mid-20th century, jet airlines were carrying passengers between continents and across oceans in a matter of hours. And at the end of the 20th century, or by the mid of 20th century, jet airlines came into existence and people were traveling from one continent to other continent and from one country to another country in only few hours. Earlier it was taking days and months and years for reaching from one country to another, from one continent to another, but now the people can reach from one continent to another or from one country to another only in few hours. Use of electricity. With time, locomotive powered by electricity came to be used. The first electric passenger train ran in the late 19th century. Electric locomotive proved that to be much more efficient and economical than steam engine, and now the more cheaper way of traveling was invented, and that was electric engine. Gradually, by the 1980s, steam locomotives were replaced by the steam engine powered by electricity. And now, by the late 19th century, the steam locomotives were now replaced by the electric locomotives. Some other facts that helped in the development of transport. Apart from these inventions and discoveries, there were other factors also that helped in the development of transport. Over the years, human built an extensive network of road. Expressway connects towns and cities and even countries. Expressways are a broad road for traveling. That were connecting these expressways were connecting towns and cities and even countries for moving from one country to another, or from one place to another. Some of the fastest trains have been designed by Japan, France, and China. Then after this, these Japan, France, and China designed many of the fastest trains, such as bullet trains and all, were designed, and this made the traveling more easier and faster. Waterways were cheaper than the other mode of transport, and the waterways were more cheaper than the other ways of transport. The construction of Suez Canal and Panama Canal has reduced the time travel between Europe and Asia. And after the construction of the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal, the people can easily trade and travel between Europe and Asia. Today, a large network of air routes connect the whole world. Air transport has become a popular mode of transport or travel.